Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Trent Denman.
So good morning. It's great to be here today. And I just wanted to talk to you not only a little bit about my work as a sales coach and what has happened in my sales career, but I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about some of the challenges that have gone along with that. So who in here is in business or desires to be in business? Okay. All right. So we got quite a few people. So who in here feels that business is so simple, so easy, there's never any challenges, there's never any struggles, it's just simple? Oh, no hands. Oh, wow, you guys are just like me. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my sales career first. So we're going to talk about three concepts. One is your why. Why do you do what you do? Two is working through challenges and struggles. And three is gratitude. So we're going to go through that, and my career encompasses all of those things. So I've been in sales most of my life, and I have, pretty much had two sides to my sales career. There was the first half of my sales career, which is now the lesser half. That was unsuccessful. I went from job to job, kind of failed, didn't really succeed to the extent that I wanted to. And then the second half of my sales career, which is where I have been successful beyond my wildest dreams. And so for me, the biggest thing that I have done as a sales coach is really, I'm fascinated with what the difference was between, the first part and the second part. So really the first part of this talk is going to be around why. Every single person who starts life, whether you're in business or just in your personal life, it is really important that you know why you do what you do. Because if you do not have a clear, defined why, it will get too challenging too quickly and you will give up. And so for me, the first part of my sales career, I was very comfortable. I would, if it got too hard, I would just go get a different job. Everything was good. Well, I ended up kind of moving through that process, got married, bought a house, had a son, everything was going good. I had the great corporate job and it was all great. Well, when my son was born, my wife got laid off from her job, so now I had an income to replace. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, well, I can, shift this and move this and everything's good. And so then within 9 months, I lost my job because I was unable to hit my sales quotas. Then I was like, now I've got 2 jobs to replace, 2 incomes to replace, and I am in a situation where the only opportunity for me at that point in time was a commission-only sales position. That's the position that I still have today, and that is the impetus for my entire sales coaching business. 12 and a half years later, I've accomplished every dream that I would have ever imagined for my career. And it was all due to me losing my job. So with every adversity carries with it a seed of equal or greater benefit if you look for it with faith. So think about that for a minute. When you've gone through something tragic, oftentimes there's something really beautiful that comes of it if you will look for that with faith. So for me, I had a wife, I had a son, and I had a mortgage, and I couldn't get a job, so I was fired up because I was not going to let my previous district manager determine my future. She didn't feel I had a future in sales, but doggone it, I did have a future in sales. So that is really very important. It all came down to that moment where I had gone through multiple job interviews and I had just been told for the 5th time with the same organization that I had interviewed for that you're not a good fit. I regret to inform you. And at that time, it was Easter weekend of 2011. I'll never forget this. My son was crying. I was trying to put him to sleep. And 2 well-meaning relatives were in my living room talking to my wife about how we're going to lose the house and Trent's not going to be able to succeed in sales because he can't do a commission-only job. So I was fired up. And I had a picture of my district manager's car on my desk, and every day when I wanted to give up, I looked at that picture and I thought, is she right or are you right? And you know what? That drove me. I set fire to the ships in the harbor and I said, I'm living or dying right here. Period. End of discussion. And by all means, I had kind of just resolved it to being, well, hopefully this works. Looking back 12 and a half years later, in my dream house, with my dream cars, with 4 beautiful children, I didn't lose the house, I didn't fail to achieve my dreams, and I didn't fail as a salesperson. But that was the secret. So look at your life, especially in the midst of tragedy, and think about that why. Because that why will drive you to do things that you, under normal circumstances, would not be human enough to do. You will do superhuman things. You will do abnormally good things when you are under that type of pressure and you have that type of a deep-seated emotional connection with where you want to go in your life and your business. So as we proceed, life is getting pretty good right now. We got 2020. Anybody here remember 2020? Yeah, 2020, great times. Okay, so I start 2020. I'm minding my own business, just moving along in life. Business is great. Haven't outbound prospected in years. Got clients calling me every day to do business with me. It's good. Then I hit a deer with my car. Around that same time, my mother-in-law came to live with us as she had cancer. Then they shut my business down because of COVID. Then I have an immunocompromised mother-in-law with cancer at my house that my wife is freaking out while my business is in the midst of the shutdown, trying to figure out how to not kill grandma. And I have a tumor develop on my arm. A tumor. So I have a cancer scare now, trying to figure out where I'm at. But you know what? Everything is okay because we're expecting our 4th son. It's going to be fine. We're just going to work through this. So I had the tumor removed. Wasn't cancer, fortunately. We did end up losing my mother-in-law, but we fought through that battle. I fought through the business battle and overcame that. But then came July 9th of 2020. We had gone in for a routine examination, and they no longer could detect our baby's heartbeat. And so we continued down that process. We scheduled a delivery for our son, and I did everything that we could to do ultrasounds to make sure that we weren't inducing too early. And on July 9th of 2020, our son Colby Raphael Denman was born, but he was deceased. And so I can tell you that watching my wife give birth to a dead child is the most brutal thing that I've ever been a part of. And I really, at that point, I wasn't sure that there was much else that I was going to be able to do in terms of being able to move forward in my life, because it just seemed like it was so hard. Then the morning of his funeral, my cousin committed suicide. And so 2020 was a challenge for me. And so I kept moving forward. I was had my head down, and I kind of kept just moving forward in business. And here's where the second element of this comes in. Sometimes you need to just take a breath, and you need to just continue to go through your life and realize that, tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Straight in.
And so that was very hard, not only on my marriage, not only on my family. I had my sons that I had to talk to about their brother, and they missed him. And my wife really missed her son. And so, this is the healing conference. So, we're going to get to the good part. But I think a lot of that is developing some resilience. Because if you don't give up, things have the potential to get better. So I continue to work on through that. And in my network, last time I had something bad happen, I ended up with a Hall of Fame sales career. Well, the next time I had a batch of bad things happen, good things are coming up. 2024, right now, I'm declaring is going to be my best year ever, and I have tons of reasons for that to back it up, and we'll get into those at another time, but it is going to change.
Amen.
Yeah, so here's the beauty of it. After I was resilient through these challenges, I started having people in my network ask me, Trent, how in the world did you survive that and your business thrive through it? And then I said, well, I just kind of worked through it and those types of things. And then they started asking me, would you coach me? I said, sure. And then all of a sudden, after a number of these conversations, I had to figure out how to pay the IRS. So I developed a business entity, and now I've got a business and an app and a training platform and all this type of stuff that's coming out in 2024. But it all came out of that adversity.
Amen.
Now, here's the beauty of it. The final aspect of what I'm going to talk about today is gratitude. Now, I can tell you that the most humbling thing that I've ever experienced in my life happened to me this year. I had accepted the fact that that was probably how the story was going to end. I had 3 beautiful sons. I had my 4th son who's in heaven. We've also miscarried 2 other, babies. And so having gone through that, it was just kind of like, it's okay. We're gonna be all right. So, business is doing good. It's starting to turn around. Everything's going good. And then all of a sudden, we found out that we were expecting. Long story short, 9 months later, we have our beautiful daughter Ella born April 12th of this year. She's a part of our lives, and she's named after her mother, her grandmother, and her great-grandmother. And I was very, very humbled and grateful because I wasn't deserving of her, and I didn't expect her. I humbly approached that, and I just prayed every day that I wouldn't have to go through that again, and especially that my wife wouldn't have to go through that again. And so God answered our prayers, and God blessed us greatly.
Amen.
And so she's 8 months old, and she's doing great. She's a firecracker, just like her mom. And so what does that have to do with sales careers and business? Well, it has a lot to do with it, because the thing that I was kind of remembering around this time last year at the conference, it was the first time I stood up and said it, because I was kind of humbled at the time, and I was afraid to say it, but I am now. People say whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I agree with that statement. And what I said last year, and what I still believe this year, is whatever didn't kill me had better run. Because I'm going after it, and I'm going to win, because I'm not going to be defeated by my circumstances. And so when you look at gratitude in your life, and you look at your why, and then you look at developing that resilience, it's a really, really hard thing. And I can tell you that every single person in this room, tragedy has happened to you. But just because tragedy has happened to you doesn't mean that you need to happen to tragedy.
Amen. That's right.
If you want to win and you want to develop the business of your dreams, you absolutely can do that. You absolutely can have the life that you want. You need to go get it. And unfortunately, like with my entire story, I kept waiting for somebody to come rescue me. 12 and a half years ago, I'm like, oh man, somebody offered me a job, somebody help me, I need help. And then in 2020, I need some help. And I had lots of friends around me. But the best moment in your life occurs when you realize that help is at the end of your arms, that you are the one that is going to get you out of it. Because if you develop if you develop that resilience and you develop that mindset, you develop that desire to win, and you develop everything that you need to move forward in your life, and you accept the fact that you have a strong why, that you are resilient, that you can get through it, and then you develop that humility and that gratitude to realize, you know what, I'm going to walk forward, and there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times, but I'm going to win regardless of whatever happens to me. Then your life gets better.
That's right.
This will help you. This is a quote from Lisa Sasevich. Some of you may know who that is. She's a very well-known speaker coach. I love it when she says, you need to assume the throne. Nobody's going to discover you. You have to assume the throne. You have to declare yourself the one desirous and worthy of that victory and worthy of that in your life. Now, if you want to create mentality around where you want to go or where you want your business to go, I'm very much a believer in that. And I do believe that, if you're a believer in God, prayer is a big part of that. And you need to make sure that you have people around you that'll support you and back you up and help you become the person that you were designed to become.
That's right.
And so most of my work with coaching clients comes around the area of mindset and confidence. Because somebody who proceeds with the right mindset and just with unshakable confidence, there's nothing that you can't achieve. And so I think that, when you look at that, just take a moment and jot down some notes and think about your why for a second. Why do you do what you do? Why are you here? If you're still breathing air on this earth, God isn't done with you yet. And not only that, but you shouldn't be done with you yet. Because if you're breathing air on this earth, you got something cool that you can do. And even though you've had to go through some pain to get there, if you're still second wind, you still got a chance to achieve it. So be thinking about that why. Now the second thing, getting into the resilience part of the conversation, what do you feel will help you develop more resilience? If you're going through a struggle, it was kind of like when we had given birth to our daughter Ella, I went over to the elevator and I had kind of a devastating moment, and it wasn't something that it's not something that I planned, but I walked in the elevator and this woman walked in the elevator and she had her head hung kind of low, and I said, man, this is, the best floor of the hospital. And she says, well, not today, it's not. And I looked at her and I said, well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have, I shouldn't have said that. But I just want to let you know that I know how it feels, because I lost my son here 3 years ago. And, and I said, I don't know if you're a person of faith. She said that she was. And I said, well, if it's okay, I'll just say a prayer for you right now. And, just want you to know that I understand what it's like to lose a little one. And so be thinking about that resilience. What can you develop to develop that resilience? Okay? And then the third thing, when you think about gratitude, it is really, really important to realize what you're grateful for. If you're still alive, even though you might be pretty badly beaten, like I was in 2020, and going into 2021, I was down for a while, because I learned how to play injured for a while, but it was very hard. I still have scars. I actually physically do have scars. But you got to think about what comes next after the struggle, because once you get through that process, you want to make sure that you are acknowledging that gratitude, because that's really the only way that you're going to turn the corner. You got to start to get that gratitude built up and get that muscle, kind of empowered and encouraged. So hopefully that really helps. So think on those 3 things today. Think about your why. Think about your resilience and how you can develop that. And think about your gratitude, because I am so grateful to be here today with you. And I'm so grateful to have my clients and my family in my life. And I know for a fact that if you want to win, that you have all the potential to win. You just have to make sure that you exercise those 3 things and get on the path to success and on the path to victory. And we're at the Healing Conference. If you need healing, it's available. So hopefully that helps. Have a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trent Denman.